Shalom. We'll get started here in just a few moments.
These be the names of the mighty men whom David had. The Tachmonite that sat in the seat, chief among the captains. The same was Adino the Esmite. He lifted up his spear against 800, whom he slew at one time. And after him was Eleazar the son of Dodo the Ahohite, one of the three mighty men with David when they defied the Philistines that were there gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away. He arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand clave unto the sword. And the Lord wrought a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to spoil. And after him was Shammah the son of Agi the Hararite. And the Philistines were gathered together into a troop, where was a piece of ground full of lentils, and the people fled from the Philistines. But he stood in the midst of the ground, and defended it, and slew the Philistines. And the Lord wrought a great victory. And 3 of the 30 chief went down and came to David in the harvest time unto the cave of Adullam. And the troop of the Philistines pitched in the valley of Rephaim. And David was then in an hold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. And David longed and said, Oh, that one would give me drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. And the 3 mighty men brake through the host of the Philistines, and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Nevertheless, he would not drink thereof, but poured it out unto the Lord. And he said, Be it far from me, O Lord, that I should do this. Is not this the blood of the men that went in jeopardy of their lives? Therefore he would not drink it. These things did these 3 mighty men. And Abishai, the brother of Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was chief among 3. And he lifted up his spear against 300, and slew them, and had the name among 3. Was he not most honorable of 3? Therefore he was their captain. Howbeit he attained not unto the first 3. And Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts, he slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of a pit in time of snow. And he slew an Egyptian, a goodly man. And the Egyptian had a spear in his hand, but he went down to him with a staff, and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand, and slew him with his own spear.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto my power, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Bashim Hakodash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father. His true name in Hebrew is Yahweh, and his son's name, who the world and they call Jesus Christ, real name in Hebrew is Yahushua. Also give her praises, honor, and glory to the Hakodash, the Holy Spirit, which is the force and entity that makes this edification possible. I want to say shalom to our sincere heart of Aki and Wakwat, that you brothers and sisters make your bodies a living sacrifice on a daily basis in this wicked and adulterous generation. I also want to give double honors to my beloved apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who taught me this truth and who rule well. And I'm the brother Osmawat here from the Great Millstone Dallas Camp, coming back this morning through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah to do another lesson. And our Lord's will, this lesson will be found edifying unto the elect of the nation of Israel, as well as glorifying unto the names of my power, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And Barakar Tawab to you Akim Wa'akwat that's tuning in this morning. Hey, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. All right, but I want to get into the topic at hand. I got a few videos queued up I would like to go through in this lesson. But as the title of this lesson reads, it says, Pentagon readies for war in Nigeria, and feds dump $28 billion overnight. And it's actually a typo. I need to, fix that. It's actually $29 billion, not 28, but $29 billion, have been dumped by the feds overnight. It was on October the 31st, right, on so-called Halloween and whatnot. All right, hey, scary times for America, man, but beautiful times for us, all right, as the Lord's hopeful elect, all right. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to get into, this morning, Lord's will. Once again, Lord's will, it'll be edifying. I got this video here queued up from Dabu, but let's open up with this scripture here in Jeremiah. We could get Jeremiah chapter. Man, there's so many, man, the prophecies are speaking. There's so many scriptures, man, that the whole volume of the book is speaking loud and clear. Yahweh Bashim Shah, man, is making his point through these particular judgments and plagues and pestilences. As a matter of fact, let's not get Jeremiah. Let's open up with 2 Ezra 15. All right, Second Ezra chapter 15, and we'll hold Jeremiah on deck. This is Second Ezra chapter 15 and verse. Let's start at verse 10. Second Ezra 15 and 10. It says, "Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter, and who's the Lord's people? The Israelites." All right, that's so-called Blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans. All right, that the bulk of us, dwell here. All right, in Babylon the Great, aka America, spiritual Sodom and Egypt. All right, so he says, "Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter." Right, and the majority of our people, the 2/3, particularly right here in America, all right, they're going to be deleted. Okay, they have no idea, okay, that they're being led to the slaughter. Okay, by the very one that they put their trust in, the so-called white man Esau Edom. Says, "I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt." Right, because the Lord is going to deliver the elect. All right, he's going to deliver, all right, the elect of the nation of Israel, all right, from this great slaughter. And those that have to give up their lives as martyrs here on this side, they're going to be resurrected with immortality. Verse 11, he says, "But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and I will smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof." See, this is speaking about spiritual Egypt, America. The Lord says, "I will smite Egypt with plagues as before." Okay, and you can read about those 10 plagues that the Lord sent upon, all right, the ancient Egyptian empire in the book of Exodus, as well as into the book of Wisdom of Solomon, starting around the 17th chapter, 18th chapter, and 19th chapter. Okay, King Solomon gives a little bit more detail, all right, in the Apocrypha of Wisdom of Solomon, how that right arm, which is Yahweh Shah, the right arm of Yahweh, was getting down upon Egypt, man. All right, and there's judgments that the Lord has reserved, especially, okay, for America. You see, and we've heard the report and we believe the report. Okay, and we pray and hope that Yahweh Bashmal Shah delivers us from the wrath that he's bringing. All right, and ultimately Esau is just a vessel of the Lord. Okay, but the wrath is ultimately coming from Yahweh Bashmal Shah. Let's get this in Romans, the 5th chapter. I want to open up with these scriptures and we're going to get into the lesson. Romans chapter 5. And this is why it's so important, man, okay, to have Yahweh Shah's blood and believe in that blood. Okay, as this chapter, Romans the 5th chapter, goes into, all right, the results of justification, all right, by the blood of Yahweh Shah. Let's start at verse 1. We're going to skip down. Romans 5:1. "Therefore, being justified." What does justified mean? Meaning made right. See, we want to be found right, okay, in the eyes of Yahweh Bashmal Shah. The majority of our people, they not right, man. Okay, wicked Israelite leaders, they not right. Telling Jake to get the jab, telling Jake that the Most High don't care if you take a chip. You ain't right. You're not going to be justified. Okay, you preaching false doctrine. Okay, you're not coming in the right testimony with the right testimony. You're not right. See, this testimony is what, along this testimony and the blood of Yahweh Shai, and you not loving your life here on this side in this wicked, evil world. That's what justifies you. It's Revelation 12:11 says, "For they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death." Speaking about the elect. Romans 5:1. "Therefore, being justified by faith." See, it's all by faith. We are faith-based Israelites, man. Okay, and don't be ashamed of that, because at the end of the day, everybody has faith in something or someone. Okay, some people have faith in the American dream. Now look at them through. You see, some people have faith in their woman, the black woman, God. Okay, well, now she ain't got no snap. She ain't got no snap benefits. I did a lesson yesterday. Okay, this one Eve, okay, out of millions. Okay, over here, I stole this from the store because the government ain't giving me my snap. See, that's what happens when you have your faith in the system. In a broken empire, you're going to be found confounded and through. Okay, but we're justified by faith in Yahweh Bashim Shah. It says we have peace with the Most High through our Lord Yahweh Shah Hamashiach. That's right, through that mediator. See, through our lawyer in the heavens. You see, we just can't be made right, okay, in the eyes of the Most High in and of ourselves. No, we need somebody, okay, to plead for us, to advocate for us, man. And that advocate is Yahweh Shah. Verse 2, by whom also we have access by faith into this grace wherein we stand. See, we've been ushered into this grace period, okay, because of Yahweh's blood. Okay, and now he's given us a time to, to amend our ways. It says, and rejoice in hope of the glory of the Most High. Let's skip down here to verse 9. It says, much more then, being now justified by his blood, we shall be saved from wrath through him. See, because this wrath is coming from, okay, Yahweh Bashemal Shah. Okay, so ultimately we're praying that the Lord delivers us from his wrath, man. You see, because there's a lot of wrath coming up on this place. And especially those who knew the Heavenly Father's will and did it not, they're going to be beaten with more stripes, as Yahweh Shah said in Luke the 12th chapter. See, so this is a time to really depart from this place, man. Separate, okay, from America in the mindset, in the spirit. Let's get that. Jeremiah chapter 50. Jeremiah 51. And 6. It says, Jeremiah 51:6, flee out of the midst of Babylon. This is talking about, okay, in the mental, in the spirit. All right, this ain't talking about physically, because if you're wicked, okay, and you flee somewhere, okay, like you got this dude named Ron Dalton. Okay, he's famous for his platform that he set up called Hebrews to Negroes, right? Okay, well, he's got this campaign on, fleeing to South Africa, but yet this nigga's still in America himself. But anyway, he's got this whole campaign saying we need to flee to South Africa, Well, at the end of the day, man, if you're wicked and if Yahweh Bashemal Shai hates you, it doesn't matter where you go. He's still going to destroy you, man. Okay, so that goes to show that this fleeing is speaking about in your mind. Okay, depart, okay, from the darkness of this world, man. See? And what ultimately separates you? This truth, the word, man. John 17:17. That's what Yahweh says. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. See? And sanctify means to set aside, to make holy, to separate. So we're separate through this truth. Jeremiah 51:6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahweh Bashemal Shah's vengeance, man. So for all you people saying, make America great again, you praying for America, God bless America. And it's a lot of you Negroes, man. Hispanics and Native Americans. Okay, that's, in that spirit of, wanting to make America, well, it has never been great for you, but for praying for this place, man, hoping that things will get right. No, this is the time of Yahweh Bashemal Shah's vengeance on America. And Babylon is America. You're not going to hear that in your church. If all these so-called Christian churches was to preach that Babylon the Great is America, and they go into the prophecies about the destruction of Babylon the Great, there would be nobody in these churches, and these pastors wouldn't be getting paid. You see? But we're going to tell you the truth over here, man. When you read about Babylon the Great in the scriptures, Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51, Revelation 17, Revelation 18, Revelation 19, that's talking about America. See? So yeah, this is the time of the Lord's vengeance upon America, bro. He has America in his crosshairs, and he's about to turn this place into a desert, like the brother put on the comment board. The brother, Glory to Yahweh 88. Yeah, he says this place is about to be a desert. That's right. Yeah, desert creature resort. That's right, man. That's biblical. Speaks about the screeching owls and and the satires, That's all that's going to be left over here, man. Says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul, and be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahweh Bashemal Shah's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense, meaning a payback. See, because this place is in utter defiance against Yahweh Bashemal Shah. And America is saturated with the blood of the Israelites, man. Revelation 17. Okay, it was found in her the blood of the saints. See? Who's the saints? The Israelites, man. America is just one big, massive graveyard of us Israelites. of both kingdoms, northern kingdom and southern kingdom. Jeremiah 50 and 33. The slaughtering of the Native American. Okay, we're in November right now. Later on in this month, okay, America's going to celebrate, okay, Thanksgiving Day. You see, which is a commemoration of the slaughtering of the tribes, man. You see, so you don't think this place is going to be recompense for that? And even aside and apart from that, look at all the other abominations and the witchcrafts and sorceries and rebellions at this place, you know, and ultimately war that it wages against our power, man. You know, America is just one gigantic middle finger until Yahweh Bashmal Shah. So what do you think the Lord's going to do to this place, man? Verse 7, Babylon had been a golden cup in Yahweh Bashmal Shah's hand that have made all the earth drunken, yeah, with his philosophies, his ideologies, democracy, okay, getting all these nations in bed with the petrodollar, you see, and turning these nations out, man. It says the nations have drunk enough for wine, therefore the nations are mad. And we at that point now to where these nations, they've had enough. A lot of these nations are forming different coalitions, okay, that doesn't include the West, okay, such as BRICS, you know, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and a conglomerate of many other, you know, smaller countries, man. That's had enough with America. Now they want to, okay, you know, separate themselves. Verse 8, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. And see, that's music to our ears, man. That's a part of the new song, Revelation, the 14th chapter. All right. And part of that new song is comprised of, you know, three main components. Okay, prophesying that Babylon the Great is fallen. Okay, fear him that created the heavens and the earth. And if any man take the MOTB and receive Esau's name, his number, his image, his mark, he's going to be cut off and destroyed. Okay, in the presence of Yahweh Bashmal Shah and the holy angels. See, so if your so-called leader, okay, isn't pushing and prophesying that America's going to be destroyed suddenly and quickly, okay, well, that's a false prophet, man. And a lot of so-called Israelite leaders, they're not pushing that, man. IGPK, Sakari, that, you know, IUIC telling you that we could be here 1,000 years, or, you know, got Jake in the spirit, you know, of just, you know, kicking his feet up here in America. Like this place is going to last forever, man. See? But the scriptures tell you that Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Okay. And that leads me to this video I'm going to play right here. First, it says partial SNAP funding will get out this week. All right. This is off of News Nation. It's on YouTube. You know, fair use, fair use. I do not own the rights to this video. This is for educational purposes only. I'm not making any type of monetary gain off of this. Okay, but it says partial SNAP. Okay, so it's not even, you know, and this is just for this month. So it's not even going to cover, you know, all the you know 42 million Americans approximately that receive, you know, SNAP benefits, and that's just for this month. You know, and it costs, you know, America roughly $8 to $9 billion a month. Okay, you know, to dish out, you know, SNAP benefits. You know, this partial SNAP funding only covers 5 billion of that. So that's only half of the people, and that's just for this month. So at the end of the day, you can't heal this place. This place is done.
Of Virginia, John Fishwick. He joins us now as the clock is ticking for the Trump administration today. John, it's always great to see you this morning. So, you know, on Friday, as you know, the president signaled he would fund SNAP if pointed in the, quote, appropriate legal direction. And he posted this to Truth Social, saying essentially that our government lawyers do not think we have the legal authority to pay SNAP with certain monies we have available. And now 2 courts have issued conflicting opinions on what we can and cannot do. So what needs to happen next legally to get these funds to the folks who truly rely on them?
And so, Kelly, the judge in Rhode Island set a new deadline today where the Trump administration has two choices. They can fully fund the SNAP benefits for the month of November and let the judge know they're going to do that today, or they can say, no, on Wednesday, we're going to partially fund the SNAP program with the roughly $5 billion that's been set aside on a contingency basis for the SNAP benefits. Listening to Secretary of the...
And the $5 billion that's been set aside, you know, in their reserves, you know, ultimately that's for like any type of major calamity or catastrophe that, you know, that may happen in the, you know, in unforeseen events, you know. So they're using that, they're using that, okay, to, you know, to try to, you know, give some type of relief, you know, for SNAP benefits. It's not even going to cover, you know, all the, you know, all the SNAP recipients, man, you know. So there's nothing that, you know, they can do. And really, this is all orchestrated. They wanted this, you know, they want to get a reaction out of you people, you know, especially out of the tribes, man. You know, and they got the reaction. And Jake already out there in the grocery store stealing. And it's only going to get worse, you know. So by the end of this month, you know, going into December and, you know, next year, boy, oh boy.
Treasury Bessent yesterday, I think the Trump administration is going to choose the second alternative to have a partial funding. There apparently are some logistical issues when you fund it partially to get those funds out to folks, but I think that's where the Trump administration is going to go. After all, President Trump says he wants to do this, and so I think there is actually some cooperation between this judge and...
Yeah, people going to look at him like, you know, he's trying to help us out, you know, he's a savior, or, you know what I mean? Like, this is all organized chaos. See, that's how this devil works. And we know that 2 Corinthians 2:11. Let's get that real quick. 2 Corinthians 2:11, it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, man. All right. Organized chaos. See, that's how this devil works. And he, you know, creates the problem and then he creates a solution. All right. But this solution is not even going to work. See? But, you know, the average American, they're not trained to think. This government, they don't teach you they don't train you to think. Okay. And, you know, they do all the thinking for you. That's literally what the word government means. Govern means to control. Ment is mentality or your mind. So control the mind, aka witchcraft, sorcery. This they're using mind control techniques. All right, on you, man. Mind fuckery. Let's get this in Wisdom of Solomon. What is that? Great plagues they call peace. I think that's 14:22. So Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 22. And it says, moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge, or they erred in the knowledge of Yahweh Bashmal Shah. But whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. Ooh. See? This is a great war of ignorance, man. They capitalize on your ignorance, on you not knowing shit. They capitalize on you not knowing how economies work, how governments work. See? It's already enough that, okay, you don't have the knowledge of Yahweh Bashmal Shah. Okay? You know, you can't understand spiritual things, but even more so, you can't even understand, you know, things that happen here up on the earth, you know. So it's a great war of ignorance. And it says those so great plagues called they peace. And that's why, you know, in spite of all this, you know, people, you know, just walking, you know, up and down the streets, you know, with this carefree mentality, man. Okay. Like this past weekend, okay, on Friday, it was so-called Halloween. Niggas were still dressing up, costumes, knowing good and damn well the next morning they ain't gonna have snap. You see, because those great plays they call peace. Okay, there's you've been enchanted. Gross darkness is, let's get that, Isaiah 60 and 1. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahweh Bashmal Shah is risen upon thee. That's right, talking about the hopeful elect, man. Okay, we received the light. It says, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. Let's get that word, darkness. Strong's H2822. Chashak. Sorrow, destruction, misery, death, wickedness, obscurity. All right, darkness, obscurity, secret place. All right, so you're found in obscure places. You don't know, okay, how things are going to shape up. Okay, so you just, you have this passive, spirit on you, man. Like, okay, it's America. We'll bounce back. It's gross darkness, man. It says, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Yahweh Bashmal Shah shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. See? And that glory is what? This truth, man. So there's polar opposites going on. You got the elect. Okay, they have the light. They see. They understand through these prophecies. And then you have the majority of the world. Okay, and there's gross darkness. But let me go back here to this video. We'll finish it out.
Rhode Island in the Trump administration. We haven't seen that much. I think the funds are going to get out there, hopefully on Wednesday to folks, but certainly this week. And I think the Trump administration is going to cooperate with that judge to get this done.
Yeah, well, that's welcome news for so many. And Nick played this soundbite from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. He was on another network yesterday saying this could be worked out by Wednesday, as you said. What are your thoughts on that potential timeline, the likelihood that Wednesday people will actually have these funds in hand?
Well, I think President Trump was pretty clear there are going to be delays. I think whenever you've got the government kind of, rushing funds out the door to folks, I doubt they actually get to people on Wednesday. Hopefully they get to folks this week. I think the Trump administration wants to get them out. The judge wants to get them out. I think because it's going to be a partial distribution, that apparently makes the system not run as smoothly. So there are going to be delays to folks. That's going to be unfortunate. But I do think at least the $5 billion, the partial funding for these SNAP benefits will get out this week. But remember, that's just a partial funding. So if this shutdown continues, there'll be further legal action on whether future funds can be unleashed to fund the SNAP benefit.
You hear that? And mind you, all this is going on, while the United States, they're saying that they can't even pay their military. Military troops, they're not going to get paid in the next pay period. So you think that, they're going to give a full, payout for SNAP? Hell no, man. So this is that's a false sense of relief, so that's the update on SNAP. So I'm going to go here to the next phase of this lesson. All right. This is off of Fox News. It says Trump tells Pentagon to ready vicious military action in Nigeria. Move fast. See, move fast. Why is he saying move fast? Because the devil knows he has a short time. Let's get that real quick. Revelation 12. Yahweh Bashmal Shah speeding the time up for the elect's sake. Everything's happened, rapidly. That's why we got to keep up in the spirit, man. Don't get left behind in the spirit. We got to stay up to date, with these, with the happenings, going on around us, man. Stay up to date with prophecy, continue to tune in to the apostles, to the bishops, to the elders, to the brothers, man, because things are moving fast. Like Elder Pastor Hart said, if you miss one day of this, it's like you've missed a whole bunch, man. It's like you've missed a whole week or two's worth, So we got to, daily, let's get that, daily exhort one another. Hebrews chapter 3 and 13 in the NLT. Let's start at verse 12. Be careful then, brothers and sisters. Make sure that your own hearts are not evil and unbelieving, turning you away from the living power, Yahweh Bashmal Shah. And we have no reason okay, not to believe in Yahweh Bashmal Shah, man. See, man, these prophecies are happening. Our faith should be at an all-time high right now. We should be ecstatic. In the midst of us, going through particular things, we should still be ecstatic, man, because prophecy is happening. The Lord is really doing this, man. It's verse 13. You must warn each other every day. See, every day, no days off, man. Okay, no matter how tired you are. Okay, man, I don't feel like I'm in the spirit today, man. Man, get out of that shit, man. Pray that the Lord put his spirit on you. It's that simple, And granted, yeah, you're not gonna, necessarily feel like you have the spirit on you every day, but it's not about that, man. Okay, the Lord has given us an unction. He's called us into this truth. So, do the work, So it says you must warn each other every day while it is still today, so that none of you will be deceived by sin and hardened against Yahweh Shema Shah. That's right. Oh yeah, that's beautiful scripture. Let's grab that. The brother, glory to Yahweh 88, put up 1 Thessalonians 5 and 16 in the NLT. Always be joyful. Right. The simplicity that's in Yahweh Shah, man. See, always be joyful. And joy it's a little different than happiness. Happiness, that's more so contingent upon, how you feel because of a particular event or, just a mood. Joy is that's a disposition of spirit. And that's where Yahweh Shah left us, man. No matter what you go through, you can still have joy. That's what Yahweh Shah left behind for us, man. Not happiness, but joy. Okay? Because he promised that we're going to catch hell. He told us that we're going to have tribulation, but he left us joy. Let's get this. John 16 and 33. These things have I spoken unto you, that in me you might have peace. See? Only in Yahweh Bashmal Shah. Okay? Because trying to find peace and comfort, in things and places and people of this world, it's going to leave you, all right, through ultimately, man. See? Only in the Prince of Peace can we have peace. It says, in the world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. Okay. What's another word for cheer? It's joy, comfort. I have overcome the world. So this place is already overcome. It's already defeated. Okay. Through and by our Lord Yahweh Shah. So let's go back here to this. Let's go here to this video. Fair use, fair use.
We're going to begin this morning with a Fox News alert.
President Trump ordering the Pentagon to prepare for possible fast military action in Nigeria if the country fails to crack down on the mass killing of Christians.
Rebecca Castor joins us live from Washington, D.C. with those details. Rebecca, good morning. Rachel, good morning.
See, and their whole narrative on, wanting to go to war, with Nigeria is because, the mass deletions of so-called Christians. See, but that's how you Edomites have always gotten down. Oftentimes you've always waged war, in the name of, Christianity, in the name of religion. You see? Manifest Destiny, the Cold War era. Okay. The Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition, amongst many other, wars and battles. See? But what do we know that Nigeria has that America is highly interested in? Okay, gold, oil. As a matter of fact, Nigeria is, if I'm not mistaken, it's the biggest oil reserves in Africa. And it has one of the largest gold reserves in Africa as well. See? Let's get this, Proverbs 24 and 2. So this devil, man, all right, he's not going to stop. He's not going to stop, all right, until he's taken out of the way. All right, he's the red horse. He was put in power by Yahweh Bashmal Shah to take peace from off the earth and to wage war with every goddamn body. And also proving that America is the hammer of the earth. Babylon the Great, Jeremiah the 50th chapter. It's Proverbs 24 and 2. It says, for their heart, meaning their mind, studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief. Let's read that again. It says, for their heart studieth destruction. Let's get that word studieth. Because while these nations, they at peace, you know, they in their own little world, they got their own little, you know, government set up or whatnot. Well, Esau, he's studying destruction. He's studying on how to, you know, overthrow these nations, man. You see, for his benefit. But this word studieth says to ponder, imagine, meditate, mourn, mutter. All right, to study. That's Psalms the 64th chapter. I'm gonna hold that on deck. But let's go back here to this video.
Morning. Yeah, President Trump is not mincing words here. This is what he said on Truth Social yesterday. If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into the now disgraced country at guns a-blazing to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible attack. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth got the message and says the Department of War is preparing for action. The response comes as the persecution of Christians in Nigeria has reached crisis levels.
Now ask yourself, do you think that they really care, okay, about Nigerian Christians? Come on, man. No. They have interest in the matter. And the interest is what? Oil, gold, you know? And as one of the elders had made mention of in the chat yesterday, Nigeria, okay, geographically speaking, is close to China. See? So there's a lot of proxy wars going on. All right? As America, you know, is fighting to try to stay on top to be the world superpower. And this links up with Habakkuk. Habakkuk 2 is speaking loud and clear. Habakkuk chapter 2 and 5. All right. Once again, Esau is not going to stop, man, until he's taken out of the way physically by violence, okay, from Yahweh Shah and the holy host of angels. Habakkuk 2 and 5, it says, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. Right. He's not keeping at home. Okay. Why are you concerned about, okay, so-called Christians, Nigerian Christians, thousands of miles away from you? Don't you have enough shit you need to be concerned with? Okay. Feeding your own people here at home. Okay. Why are you getting mixed and mingled in other countries' affairs, man? Oh, we know why. Because it interests you. Gold, oil, more power. You see? He's not going to stop. It says, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. He can't be satisfied. You know, he already has the fatness on the earth and the dew of heaven, but he wants more. See? And his covetousness is going to lead to his ruin. Let's get this in Sirach 14. Sirach 14 and 8. The envious man hath a wicked eye. He turneth away his face and despiseth men. A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion. See? And what was the portion that was given unto Esau in Genesis 27? Fatness, the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven. But he's not satisfied with that. Okay? He's as hell and death. Okay? The grave is never satisfied. Okay? There's always more room, you know, for another body, okay, to be buried in the ground, in the grave, man. That's how Esau is. There's always more room for him, okay, to amass unto himself more natural resources, more wealth, more slaves. A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion, and the iniquity of the wicked drieth up his soul. See? Ultimately, everything that this man has is going to be dried up. He's going to be desolate, man, because, all right, of his unsatiable appetite. Let's finish this in Habakkuk 2 and 5. Let's start from the top. It says, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. That's how you know it's talking about Esau. All right. He's a proud man. Read the book of Obadiah. Okay. Pride is associated, okay, unto you Edomites, man. You think that you're untouchable. You really think that you're the Most High? Neither keepeth at home who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. See? And he's doing that physically, digitally, all right, in real time. That's what this whole, these digital economies are all set up for, is for him to gather and heap unto himself all people, to have everybody on his grid to where he can control you, all right, with the click of a mouse. You see? Let's finish out this video real quick.
Islamist militants have burned down churches and Christian schools. And international civil rights groups estimate more than 50,000 Christians have been murdered in the country since 2009. But the president of Nigeria claims the reports of violence are misleading and says on X the characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality, nor does it take into consideration the consistent and sincere efforts of the government to safeguard freedom of religion and beliefs for all Nigerians.
See that? But leave it to Trump, leave it to these Edomites, these Western Edomites. They'll have you underneath the persuasion that, oh, it's just a complete onslaught, going on over there. But here the president of Nigeria himself is telling me, man, it ain't like that over here, bro. Man, we chilling, bro. We trying to set up safeguards for freedom of religion. You see? So why is Esau pushing this narrative all of a sudden right now? In the midst of everything else going on. Okay? Because he wants more oil and gold, more resources, man. See? And this is just another proxy. And also Nigeria, they're not officially a part of the BRICS, but they've been, pretty much kind of adopted into it. They're against the West.
And our administration is committed to working with the United States government and international community to deepen understanding and cooperation of communities of all faiths. President Trump also recently redesignated Nigeria as a country of concern after former President Biden removed it from the list in 2020.
A concern for who? Ain't nobody else concerned about them except you. They're not a threat. They don't have any missiles, any ICBM missiles. So how are they a concern? Once again, as we just read, Proverbs 24:2, their heart studieth destruction, man. Why? Because it's in their power of their hands to do so. All right. They just simply Micah 2. All right. Let's grab this in Isaiah 33:1 in the NLT. A message about Assyria, and America is also likened unto spiritual Assyria. All right. When you go into the ancient Assyrian Empire, they were known for a very harsh, and rigid and brutal military. And they use a lot of iron weaponry. Rome adopted, a lot of military strategies from Assyria, and also Assyria, they were known for deportations. Okay. Sound familiar? Isaiah 33:1 NLT. What sorrow awaits you, Assyrians, who have destroyed others, but you have never been destroyed yourselves. Right, aka America. You betray others, but you have never been betrayed. When you were done destroying, you will be destroyed. When you were done betraying, you will be betrayed. Let's get that in KJV. You're going to reap what you sow, in other words, man. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealt treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. What has Nigeria done to you? What can they do to you without the help of, bigger nations such as China and Russia and India? What can they? Nothing. They can't do nothing to you. Okay, but we know why you have interest over there. As a matter of fact, I keep saying that. I pulled up some info earlier about Nigeria's oil reserves. It says Nigeria is, this is off the chat. It says Nigeria is rich in natural resources, especially oil and solid minerals like gold. It says Nigeria has some of the largest oil reserves in Africa, about 37 billion barrels. Most of it comes from the Niger Delta region, including states like Rivers, Belasia, and Delta. Oil exports are Nigeria's main source of revenue, making up about 90% of export earnings. So that sounds more the reason, okay, why Esau wants to have affairs over there. Not because he cares about some Nigerian Christians, man. However, issues like oil theft, corruption, pollution, and poor infrastructure have hurt production and profits. Nigeria also has significant gold deposits, especially in the northwest, Zamfara, Kaduna, Kebbi, Niger, and Osun states. The Segolia Gold Project in Osun State is one of the largest commercial gold mines in the country. Wow. A lot of gold mining is still artisanal, meaning small scale, which means much of it isn't officially recorded or taxed. There are government efforts to formalize and regulate the gold sector to increase revenue and reduce illegal mining. All right. So yeah, that sounds more like the reason, more of the reason why they're about to wage war. So we'll see how it shapes up here in the next few days. He's just right now he's just telling the Pentagon to get ready. They haven't done any type of interventions over there yet. We just got to watch. And this is just all a part of prophecy. How shall I say? There shall be wars and rumors of wars. Let's get this Matthew chapter 24. And all this whole peace campaign that Trump was on a few weeks ago. We finally got peace in the Middle East. Peace everywhere, peace over here, peace over there. No, man. They don't want peace. All right. And this is why these nations are tired of you, man. Matthew 24 and verse 6. Yahushua says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." So this is prophecy still, even though it's not a war yet. It's a rumor of war. Okay, these rumors. Okay, a rumor is a circulated story. All right. So this is still prophecy, man. So we'll see how it shapes up, but nonetheless, it just goes. It's just all more evidence to show us that we're at the end. Verse 7, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." Right? And it can't stay the beginning of sorrows forever. Eventually, this thing's going to be full-fledged, man. All right? And everything, it's a buildup. Prophecy is a buildup. That's why you have to measure it. Measure the times. Measure the buildup. And this thing's about to blow over, man.
2021. Rachel, Charlie, and Griff, back to you.
All right, so yeah, that's the point on that. So I'll go here to the next phase. Okay, this is off of your boy Dabu. 7-7. Stock market crash. Hindenburg omen triggered. Fed just dumped $29 billion in overnight repo cash October 31st.
All right, guys, we got a lot going on here with the markets. They are flashing signals here and throwing some red flags that we should pay attention to. The Fed just dumped $29 billion in an overnight repo on October 31st, which most people are oblivious to. This is the biggest since lockdowns, and it even tops the dot-com bubble peaks at $25 billion. So you have reserves at a 4-year low, which scream liquidity pinch. And we've got a signal being flashed here that shows that everything is about to tank. And it's not just one signal, it's a combination. They have what's called the Hindenburg omen, and it was just triggered yesterday, or in the past 48 hours. This means that the market breadth is now split. You've got 476 stocks out there hitting 52-week highs, while 170 are hitting new lows simultaneously. Okay? This is a divergence. And they say that this is one of the flags that gets kicked out and that they seen back in 2008 and the other big drop-offs throughout history. Now, the signal requires 3 conditions: that the SPX is above a 50-day moving average, and that more than 2.8% of the New York Stock Exchange issues at a 52-week high and low, and that the McClellan oscillator turns negative. Now, all 3 just happened yesterday, which is why this matters. The McClellan oscillator being negative specifically means that decliners are outpacing advancers on a momentum basis. Now, when you combine that with the deteriorating momentum with the breadth split, these are the things they look for when you have a combo of red flags and signals, and they say this right here is showing that something's about to happen.
And ultimately, what's about to happen? Well, what is happening? The Great Reset, man. Okay, Esau, we're in the midst of it right now. We're in the midst of the Great Reset right now. Okay, he's in the spirit of, commencing this controlled demolition. All right, that's what this economy is. That's what's happened to the economy. To people that's not really educated about what's happening, they just, oh man, it's crumbling, it's crumbling. No, this is a controlled demolition. Now we know at the end of the day through prophecy, okay, the Lord is setting this man up to pull the plug on his own kingdom, on his own economy. All right, but the powers that be, okay, these so-called elites, well, they're orchestrating this intentionally, to try to come back and build greater. And Yahweh Shai gave us a parable about that right here in Luke 12 and verse 16. And he spake a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. All right, who's that rich man that's speaking about? Esau. All right, it says the ground of a certain rich man, the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven. All right, and it's Esau's been blessed. He's been winning. He's been in his winning season, man. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do? Because I have no room where to bestow my fruits. Meaning he's got so much, bro, like we can't even fathom, how much, resources and just everything that these goddamn devils have, man. See, just because the average American, is hurting and struggling and pinching pennies, as they say, all right, that don't mean everybody is, man. Wealth is not destroyed. Wealth is transferred. And there's a huge wealth transfer that's happening right now in the midst of this great reset. So this is what they're saying to themselves. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do? Because I have no room where to bestow my fruits. And he said, this will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater. Make America great again. Build back better. That was Biden's campaign. That was his slogan, build back better. Was that 666? But build back better, make America great again. And there will I bestow all my fruit. See, so they're in the spirit of pulling down their barns, meaning what? They're pulling down this old infrastructure, this old economy, out with the old, in with the new. And they're building something greater to where they can have complete control, all right, over all of their resources digitally, man. So he says, this will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater. And there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. And I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. So they really think that they about to win forever. They just going to ride off into the distant sunset and happily ever after. Take thine ease, eat and drink and be merry. What does Job the 20th chapter say? All right. They have scarfed down many riches, in the midst of eating. Let's get that Job 20. All right, so they think they about to eat, man. Job 20. I'm going to get this in the NLT. Job 20. I want to get verse 19 in the NLT. Says, for they oppressed the poor and left them destitute. And this is how they're amassing even more riches and resources unto themselves, man. It's about oppression of the poor. Not the rich. Okay, the wealthy rich, they're getting massive tax breaks, which I was outlining in Big Beautiful Bill. You know, the Big Beautiful Bill is ultimately that's it, bro. That shit is really aimed at oppressing the poor even more, doing away with the middle class, and that's what's happening right now. You know, a lot of the middle class is on SNAP and, you know, governmental aid and assistance, and, you know, it says, for they oppressed the poor and left them destitute. They foreclosed on their homes. You know, home foreclosures are at all-time high. You know, and as they foreclose on your homes, who's buying them up? Okay, Vanguard, you know, BlackRock, and they're pricing people out. And got all these little, you know, apartment complexes being built every day. So they're stacking you in, you know, box cubicles. Okay, you paying, you know, 14, 15, depending upon where you live, you know, on average about $1,600, $1,700 a month for a box. You know. Verse 20, they were always greedy and never satisfied. Nothing remains of all the things they dreamed about. Nothing is left after they finish gorging themselves. See, that's what they're doing right now. They're gorging themselves. And ultimately that's going to come in the form of that NWO being set up. Let me get that in Job 20. I like the way Job 20 states it. It says in the KJV, Job 20:20, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Right. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. So in the midst of them eating, okay, that's when Yahweh Bashmal Shah is going to cast his fury upon him. So let's go back to this parable Yahweh Shah was giving us in Luke 12:19. And I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease and eat and drink and be merry. But the Most High said unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. That's when the Lord is going to bring this man's empire at a screeching halt and destroy it. Then who shall those things be which thou hast provided? All right, and ultimately all this is going unto the elect, man, to Yahweh Bashmal Shah and unto the elect, the gold, the silver. Let's get this in Haggai 2. Haggai 2:6. For thus saith Yahweh Bashmal Shah hosts, yet once it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land, and I will shake all nations. And the desire of all nations shall come, meaning their riches, the glory, all right, their resources, everything. And I will fill this house with glory, says the Lord of hosts. The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith Yahweh Bashmal Shah. See, so all this is the Lord's, man. All right. And he's snatching it. He's going to snatch it away from Esau and all these nations, and he's going to give it all right unto his people, man. The glory of this latter house shall be greater than of the former, saith Yahweh Bashmal Shah hosts. And in this place will I give peace, saith Yahweh Bashmal Shah hosts. So let's finish out that video real quick.
And go down. Now, there's been false alarms before when just one or two things signal, but when you get a conglomerate of all these things, 2, 3, or more of these triggers, within a time frame, the odds shift meaningfully. And they go in favor of the signal becoming more reliable. So that's a huge distinction here. And we see multiple red flags popping up here. And with that said, the data and the tables here show real patterns that people need to acknowledge. What it does show here is that this isn't about to happen tomorrow morning. What the window shows, and you have to pay attention.
You heard that? He said what the window shows. Scriptures tell us about how the keepers of the house shall look out the windows and see darkness. Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Talking about, the keepers of this economy, the ones on Wall Street, your financial advisors, As a matter of fact, let's get that word keepers. Shamar, to keep, to guard, to watch for. Yeah, people that watch the stock markets, the businessmen. All right. So it says, when the keepers, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong, and what will make the keepers of the house tremble? Them looking at what we're watching right now, these big dips in the economy. Bro, you got the Fed. They just dumped $29 billion overnight on October the 31st. These are the likes that haven't been seen since 2008. And then you got a buildup of all these other things going on. Okay, wars. Okay, digital economies being set up. So they're trembling. They're seeing things that the average American have no idea, is going on. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease. Who's the grinders? The workers. Ain't nobody working right now. If you got a job, that's just on for a little bit longer. Okay. The grinding is ceasing, man. It's coming at a screeching halt because they are few. See, it's a few workers. So if you have a job, man, hey, count yourself blessed. Millions of Americans are without work, and thousands on a daily are losing their jobs. And it's not going to stop, man. We are in the midst of the Great Reset, and those that look out the windows be darkened. See, just like Dabu just said. Yep.
Attention to this. Isn't about to acknowledge this. What it does show here is that this isn't about to happen tomorrow morning. What the window shows, and you have to pay attention to this, that something is due to happen within the next 90 days to 6 months. Okay?
And through the Spirit, that's what we've been here at Great Millstone. That's what we've been, telling you about. As they just passed this big, beautiful bill, this past July, you're going to feel the effects of it. People's already been feeling the effects of it, but you're going to really start to see the effects of it next year, to the middle part of next year. And that's pretty much on that same timeline, as she just said, 90 days to 6 months, Why? Because America, things about to go digital, man, full blown digital, to lead to the MOTB, the RFID micro C hip. We're just keeping up with the build up to it. We're measuring the times, man. Oh, look right here. I didn't even see it earlier, but you probably can't see it on your screen, but it says 6.66%, 666. Come on, man.
So this is a window that I've been warning you about into 2026. We know Trump's here to reset everything. He's on video saying it.
That's right. That's why they put Trump in office, man. He wasn't elected. He was selected, to usher in this great reset. And people didn't know, they weren't thinking that the great reset was going to come from the right. They thought it was going to come from the left, from the Dems, And Trump is on record saying that he wants to make America the crypto capital of the world. In order to do that, the current American economy, the way how American economics work, it has to be reset, has to be restructured. So it's a controlled demolition going on.
That is what the entire Mar-a-Lago Accord is written up for. And it hasn't even gone into effect yet. And they're already telling you that the guy that's going to replace Jerome Powell in the Federal Reserve, his main goal is going to be to push the Mar-a-Lago Accord, which is to reset everything. With Trump's disapproval rating now coming upwards of 60%.
Ooh, you hear that? His disapproval rate is almost at 60%. That's over half. So, hey, like Elder Yashwama been talking about, hey, you maggers are mad. And a lot of those people, hey, they voted for Trump. So this is that cruel Lord, man. All right, Trump just did that AI video, about 2 weeks ago. When people did that No King's Day parade rally. Trump created an AI video of him flying in an airplane and just literally just shitting on people, like literally. Very childish, but that's that's what he did, man. So he don't give a damn about, none of you people, whether you voted for him so-called or not. He's been put in office to play his part, to play his role. Don't forget, he was an actor. Nigga was in Home Alone. Okay, nigga was in WWF jumping off the top rope. Nigga was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He's an actor, and he's playing his part. He's playing his script that the elites gave him, man.
People are pissed off that they're having to go bankrupt, losing businesses, losing the farm, losing jobs, and the farmers can't sell anything because of the tariffs.
And if the farmers are hurt, that means everybody's hurt. That's called what? A famine. And you look at it, and we've done lessons on it, plenty of lessons, but a lot of farmers are deleting themselves, man. And the government, they refuse to give them, aids and benefits, and grants to, pretty much help keep their farms afloat. So it's a siege that's happening. So this whole SNAP deal, bro, it's much bigger than that. It's much bigger than niggas, losing SNAP. That's a big deal, but it's just so many things. It's just, it's just so much, man. That's just going to pretty much feed into the famine, if you will, no pun intended.
It's all ushering everyone into depending on the government, which is super bad. When you've got people out there going without a paycheck, soldiers not getting paid, others not getting paid, the people in the control towers, it's ridiculous. It just goes to show how quick they can screw you over if you depend on them. So how wise is that? We should be all independent, like this country was built on being, not depending on the government to come to the rescue and everything. Because when they pull the rug out, it's over. So this bubble that has grown larger and larger and larger, it looks like it's definitely about to pop. But I'm going to leave a link here with more information, and join me for the live stream where I can break this down in further detail. Going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern.
So yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's all I wanted to get into this morning. It's a lot of things happening. We just, continue to watch like Yahushua told us. Let's get this in Mark 13. We'll end it out with this scripture here. Mark chapter 13 and verse 32. But of that day and that hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father, proving that the Father and the Son are two separate entities, two separate beings for you simple remedial Christians. Take ye heed, meaning pay attention. All right, this is the time to be paying attention, man. We be having your woman, having your head up your woman's tail, having your head in the sand, you caught up on this, caught up on that. No, we got to be paying attention, man. Even in our little times of, relief, you chilling, you off of work, it's the weekend or whatever. No, still pay attention, man. We are in a war. So he says, take ye heed, watch and pray. All right, pray. What good is, okay, you watching, you reading all these articles, you watching all these videos, but you're not even praying. We got to be in communion and communication with Yahweh Bashmal Shah, man. It says, for you know not when the time is. For the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey, who left his house and gave authority to his servants. And who's those servants that he gave authority to, man? Okay, starting with the rock of the church, Peter. All right, the rest of the 12, minus Judas Iscariot, which was replaced by Mattathias. All right, in Acts the 2nd chapter. All right, and then every man his own order, stemming all the way on down here until our apostles, bishops, elders, and brothers, man. Every man his own order. These men have authority. These are the leaders of the church, man. All right. So it says, for the Son of Man is as a man taking a far journey who left his house and gave authority to his servants and to every man his work, and commanded the porter to watch. Watch ye therefore, for you know not when the master of the house cometh, at even or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning. We don't know. We don't know when the exact date when Yahweh Shai gonna come. That's why we're commanded to measure the times. We know we're in the season of it. We're in the time, we're in the season of his coming, but the exact day we don't know. It says, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. Let's get that word sleeping real quick, because a lot of Israelites are sleeping. Most Israelites are sleeping.
Strong's G 2518, Kathudo.
To fall asleep, drop off to sleep, euphemistically, to be dead. See? To be dead. Proverbs 21:16, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. It says, metaphor, to be indifferent to one's salvation. See, to be indifferent to one's salvation, meaning what? You don't give a damn about salvation. You can care less. Here the Lord is, he set up prophets. Okay, he set up apostles to, to show you the knowledge of Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay, to preach repentance, but you don't give a damn. See? So he says, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping or indifferent to salvation. And what I say unto you, I say unto all. Watch. That word watch.
Strong's G 1127, Gregareo.
To watch, metaphor, give strict attention to be cautious. Ooh. Yeah, we got to be cautious, man. Speaking to myself first and foremost. We got to watch the way we say things, do things, places where we may find ourselves at. Got to be cautious, man. Being in this truth, man, hey, you walking on eggshells, man. This word cautious means to careful to avoid potential problems or dangers. Okay. Oh man, my bad, man. That was an accident. I'm sorry, bro. Making these haphazard, mistakes, man, we gotta be careful. It says to take heed lest through remission and indolence some destructive calamities suddenly overtake one. Right, because we're walking in the peril of our overthrowing. Every step that we take here in America, that's the peril of our overthrowing. This is the valley of the shadow of death, man. So ultimately we need the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai to guide and direct our every step, man. That's my prayer every day. I pray this every day. Psalms 37:23. The steps of a good man are ordered by Yahweh Shema Shai, and he delighteth in his way. We need Yahweh Shema Shai to order every single last one of our steps, man. So yeah, man, I just wanted to get into that. And the water, all the precepts, comments, Lord's willingness was edifying to the Lord's elect. Till next time, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to my power, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, Hakwadash. I want to give double honor to my beloved apostle, Elder Great Millstone, Muafla Babal, Shalom.